Daniel Carlson kicked the go-ahead 38-yard field goal with 27 ticks on the clock. And Vegas, baby, Las Vegas rallied to beat the Ravens 26-23 on Sunday, so they get the win. Better story, though, is in the losing locker room. Baltimore, one of the heavyweights in the AFC, Baltimore 0-2 for the first time in 9 years. 9 years, and just the fifth time in the 29-year history of that franchise that used to be the Cleveland Browns, but they got rid of that. They said, well, we're the Ravens. We're the new team. We're the Ravens and all that. The previous 4 times, though, that franchise got off to an 0-2 start. The Ravens failed to get to the postseason each of those times. Holy Kyle Bowler, Batman. And then you have Lamar Jackson, who gave what we call the money quote following the game, and we like to parse the words of the players. And so Lamar gave the money quote. He said of the situation the Ravens find themselves in, quote, "We've got to find our mojo," is what he said. We've got to find our mojo. We've got to find it and do what we do because that's not us at all, close quote. Sure looked like you. You were wearing the Baltimore laundry when you were out there on the field. So let us discuss the question for the esteemed panel. Lamar Jackson says the 0-2 Ravens have got to find their mojo. What's happened to Baltimore at this point? All right, so I've got Wizardry, Booth Review, and Phil Connors. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to dust for fingerprints, because there's a lot of fingerprints at the crime scene there in Baltimore. So first of all, the Ravens' meat and potatoes right now is not there. What is the meat and potatoes of the Ravens? It's this imposing Baltimore defense. It's not what it once was. Now, will they get back to that point? Possibly so. But right now, in this moment, we do the show today, not intimidating. We have a 2-game sample size, and you got run up and down the field by Gardner Minshew. You say, well, the first game, the Ravens lost by a toenail, foot out of bounds. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll concede that, and you played it against Kansas City. But what's your excuse here? In this game against the Raiders, it was a boondoggle for Baltimore. They allowed Gardner Minshew to finish the game with 4 straight scoring drives, and the numbers outstanding. Over 9 yards per pass in the fourth quarter. And you look around the Ravens. The special teams don't seem as special. They don't seem as special. Justin Tucker, he can't kick the really long field goals anymore. It appears that whether it's age or something else, he's not able to kick those really long field goals successfully. Now, Lamar talked about getting his mojo back, and you look around, you're like, okay, maybe go to Shakey's and get some mojo potatoes. There's some the way the Ravens are playing, though, it's like soggy mojo potatoes, right? They're not crispy. It's supposed to be crispy. The mojo potato is a crispy, delicious potato. The product the Ravens are serving defensively is a soggy mojo potato, and that's no good. And Lamar Jackson obviously has to pick up the slack. If the Ravens' defense is not going to be what the Ravens' defense was, that's fine. Now you say, well, some of the Raven fans have been sending me messages. What about the pass interference? What about the phantom pass interference? Okay, you shouldn't be in a position where the Raiders can benefit from a phantom pass interference call. That's still not a good look for the Ravens. But Lamar Jackson, my boots on the ground there, Sports with Coleman pointing out, Lamar lost a lot of weight. Apparently he lost his ability to dominate. He's got to get back to his wizardry. And may I recommend that we fatten Lamar up, that he lost too much weight. Lamar, let's make Lamar great again. Let's make Lamar Jackson fat. We need to fatten him up. I don't know whether it's crab cakes or tasty cake. I don't know. Fatten the guy up, because right now it's not good. And he doesn't have the same wizardry that he has had in the past. And you've dug yourself a hole. Now you've got what someone called the gauntlet upcoming. You've got the Cowboys in Dallas, in Jerry's world, then a date with the 2-0 Bills, followed by a game in the division with the Bengals in Cincinnati, a desperate Cincinnati team who's 0-2. And that's what's up next. And so the Ravens, if they were to lose, and they are favored in Dallas, so they're favored for whatever that's worth. But, man, what a hot mess this could very well turn out to be there for Baltimore. Now, secondly, we go to Nashville, where Aaron Rodgers and the Jets were a touchdown better than the Tennessee football team. However, don't bury the lead, my man. Okay, we're not. Thumbs up or thumbs down to the defining moment of this game. Titans coach Brian Callahan getting into quarterback Will Levis's face after a fumble for the Tennessee quarterback. So I'm going to go 2 thumbs up. I fully support Brian Callahan. I love it. He's just as big a hothead as his dad was. We got to be the dumbest team in America. Famous quote by his old man there, Bill Callahan, who's on the staff. But for the second week in a row, Will Levis, who was called out by his head coach last week, yet again, Will Levis stumbling and bumbling and turning the ball over instead of taking a sack. And this time, trying to lateral the ball in the direction of his running back in a desperate attempt to avoid the sack. Levis could have gone to the ground and would have guaranteed a field goal attempt. And the way kickers are making field goals, that would have likely been good, a chip shot field goal inside the red zone for the Tennessee football team. And that would have given them a double-digit lead early in the game. Now, as an angry Will Levis jogged off the field, Callahan was caught on TV saying, quote, the mouth reader's pointing out that he said, "Hey, what the F are you doing? What the F are you doing?" Yeah. Now, was that inbounds or out of bounds? So we went to a booth review, and the Maller booth review, inbounds, that was warranted. Because everyone who's a fan of that team, that cares about that team, had the same reaction. Tennessee was sitting on a double-digit lead early in the game that would have put even more of a burden on the back of the Jets. And instead, things went sideways because of the reckless play, the gunslinger play, hero ball, as it is known, the clinical term hero ball. And the Titans' defense was, again, good enough to win the game, but the offense did not live up to their end of the bargain. And the Jets, now for the Jets, he said, well, is everything right in the world now for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets? No, but this win over Tennessee works as a little bit of mouthwash because they get rid of that halitosis from the no-show against the 49ers. And Aaron Rodgers, though, still a rip-off version of what he had been in Wisconsin. Rodgers averaged 5.9 yards per pass attempt in this game. 7 is average. And so he's below the standard. He's also a little long in the tooth at this point, so you're starting to look for signs of the apocalypse. All right, final thought here. We go to Charlotte, where the Chargers zapped the Panthers 26-3. The team from North Carolina, the NFL team from North Carolina, had 7 total first downs for 159 yards of offense. And how big a debacle is Bryce Young for Carolina at this particular point in time? So Dave Canales, the head coach there in Carolina, was brought in objectively with one goal. What was the goal? It's like, you're not going to win the Super Bowl, but just this is a salvage mission. Salvage the career. Turn the ship around. The ship is heading towards an iceberg. Turn the ship around for Bryce Young. So how's that going? Well, Bryce Young in this game attempted 26 passes. He completed 18 of them. Okay, you're like, well, that's pretty good, right? That's a completion percentage of 69%. He somehow managed to have 84 yards passing, which we think is an NFL record for fewest yards with 18 completions. We'll have to double-check that. But man alive, right? What are we doing here? And we're 2 weeks in. We are 2 weeks into the new NFL season, and the early returns are deja vu. And I'm not talking about the strip club here. Carolina coach Dave Canales is stuck in the Groundhog Day movie. He is playing the weatherman, Phil Connors. He is dying 1,000 deaths every time he has to watch this Bryce Young play, trying to somehow break out of the loop-de-loop. Can't do it. Cannot do it. Here's Dave Canales still trying to talk up his quarterback, polishing turds. Take a listen.
Bryce, our quarterback. We're going to just continue to shore up and fix the things we need to fundamentally from a scheme standpoint, all those things. These are all valuable reps. These are all valuable games. We'll learn a lot from this game, and hopefully we'll take another step this week.
Hey, Dave, you're charging money for these games. You're putting them on television. This is not an inter-squad scrimmage, okay? People are actually paying money, and they have jobs, and they have bills to pay. This is their disposable income. This is their money. This is their entertainment. Is there anything entertainment about Carolina? No. There's nothing entertaining about this team. If you look at the menu at the Haunted Mansion in Carolina, the menu calls a dead meatloaf is what their quarterback is, dead meatloaf. Completely overwhelmed. I flipped this game. I'm like, wow, this guy looks like he's never played quarterback. He played at Alabama. And he looks like he's physically unable to perform. If he was at Disneyland, it would be, it's a small world after all. It's a small, small world. That's him. There's literally and figuratively nothing positive to take from Bryce Young 2 weeks into the NFL season. He looks like he should be working at a Denny's as a line cook. That's what he looks like. And he's playing quarterback in the NFL, and he's set financially for life. And, man, this is a debacle. And David Tepper, he's the kind of owner. He's a hedge fund guy. He's not going to put up with this. He'll move on to the next shiny object. He's not going to sit there and watch this week after week, and Dave Canales will get another 4 years of severance and go work as an offensive coordinator somewhere else if this continues.